We have a surprising Oilers prospect update as there's also a surprising result last night as the Oilers begin their New York road trip. All that and more today on Oilers Digest as we'd like to celebrate 2,800 subscribers. Yes, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for helping us along this way and eventually to 3,000. So if you haven't already, folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below for any and all Oiler content as we are very, very close to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Who will the Oilers play? We don't know. Still lots of games left to be played to determine that, but we will be there one step of the way. But post but no cigar. Yes, last night the Oilers found iron multiple times, but they were unable to go in. But the Oilers did score twice, but lost 3-2 to the Buffalo Sabres at the KeyBank Center last night. Yes, the last place Buffalo Sabres in the Eastern Conference. Just taking a look at the scoring summary here. Tage Thompson makes it 1-0 off the rush, off of an egregious rebound off the glove of Stuart Skinner, and he found the back of the net. Darnell Nurse found the back of the net himself, making it 1-1, a minute and 35 into the second period. But again, the rush chances for the Buffalo Sabres killing the Edmonton Oilers, with Alex Tuck placing a perfectly placed shot, past Stuart Skinner, making it 2-1 Sabres. But a Bouchard bomb on the power play makes it 2-all before the end of the second. But early on in the third period, you guessed it, another rush chance for the Buffalo Sabres. A 2-on-1 there with Josh Norris in, Tage Thompson sort of overpowered Evan Bouchard there. No fault to Evan Bouchard at all on that one, I might add. But Tage Thompson finds a way to put a backhand past the cage of Stuart Skinner, making it 3-2 Buffalo, and that is your final score. Now, of course, Kris Knoblauch after the game had his thoughts. Most of them were not good, but he said we controlled most of the play. We had a lot of time in the offensive zone. I think we had more chances, but you'll look at the turnovers that led to scoring chances off the rush. We spent very little time in the defensive zone, but the puck management and giving chances off the rush was a big, big story tonight. Of course, lots of things led to the demise of the Oilers last night. Lots of turnovers and just lots of weird decision making with the puck. Of course, they're trying to, pretty it into the back of the net there by, trying to do it Harlem Globetrotter style where all five guys touch the puck before they put it in the back of the net. But you just have to keep it simple, and that's what the Oilers didn't do last night. They just tried to get far too cute, far too often, and with a team against the Buffalo Sabres who have nothing to lose, they will make you pay. Just taking a look at the shots here, 23 shots against for the Oilers last night despite having 34, which just goes to show you Buffalo capitalized on Edmonton's chances, and even though there weren't a lot of them, they were key mistakes here for the Oilers. The Oilers also going 1-for-4 on their power play last night. Again, a power play that is very stagnant. You have to find a way to change something up on that, whether it be moving, a guy like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins off the power play, a guy that, as much as I love him, hasn't done much all year long. Nuge, buddy, with the amount of star power that you are with, not just 5-on-5, but on the power play, you got to be willing to do something akin to your 100-point season 2 years ago there. But again, the Oilers 23-13 in favor of hits like that matters. But again, it was just the mistakes that were costly for the Oilers last night. Of course, they deserve to win meter off moneypuck.com. Of course, Buffalo did have the chances, but again, Edmonton, don't want to say dominating, but they were all over the ice for a majority of the game, but just unable to do anything worthwhile. Kris Knoblauch sort of called out a majority of his team here, which is very interesting. It's frustrating when some of the guys who aren't contributing offensively are contributing to scoring chances against, which is really hurting us. It's different if you're making those plays that are leading to offense, but once in a while you get caught. But if you're not creating that offense and you're giving up those chances, that's what's hurting that team. We had enough chances to have 4 or 5, maybe 6 goals. The goalpost, the goaltender made some really big saves. Of course, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, fantastic game from him last night, but it was a majority of the Oilers, with the self-inflicted chances that we gave up. It was just, very costly for the Oilers last night. Just taking a look at the stat sheet here from the Oilers, who did not have a point. You can excuse Jake Walman. I mean, I love the guy. I'm sure, the new shiny toy effect will wear off sometime soon, but he had a pretty decent game last night. But of course, Jeff Skinner in his first game back in Buffalo, he had an all right game. He's just stapled to the bench for a majority of it by Kris Knoblauch. Almost seems like Kris Knoblauch had to put him in the lineup just because it was his first game back in Buffalo. But Paul Colson, that led to the 3-2 goal from Buffalo there, where he sort of gave, Bouchard a grenade at the point there, and Bouchard had to go chase it back with two Sabres hounding all over him and just going down the list here. Of course, it just has to relate to a good chunk of the bottom six, plus, guys like Nugent-Hopkins, like I said, -1 on the night last night, and just been a ghost for a majority of the season. Same with Zach Hyman. I mean, you are with, McDavid for a good chunk of the game. Of course, Knoblauch went back to Draisaitl and McDavid for, a good majority of the game. I don't know why he relies on that nuclear pairing against a team like Buffalo when you shouldn't have to rely on them. But again, just a lot of passengers last night for the Oilers, when it was weird because, the game against Dallas, everyone was contributing, and then you hit the road and something changes for some strange reason against the Buffalo Sabres, the last place Eastern Conference Buffalo Sabres. How many times do I have to say that? But expected goals, you have to see a little more from, the bigger names down the list here. Of course, Draisaitl, 45% expected goals. Nugent-Hopkins, I'll say once again, but, you have to see these guys contribute just a little more against an awful team with the Sabres. I mean, I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, folks, but it's just one of those games that you have to throw in the trash can, but I just have to, wonder about what exactly went wrong, and not just one particular thing. It was a lot of things. It was the rush defense. It was the inability to put the puck in the back of the net, untimely saves, whatever it was, you name it. And talking about, timely saves and rush chances from Oil and Goal here, with a Stephen Valiquette quote here: the Oilers are 15th in rush defense and 24th in east-west in-zone chances defensively. And of course, I pointed out a quote with a stat a few months ago regarding Stuart Skinner and his rush defense in east-west, save percentage, and it was not good. So you'd think the Oilers would try to tighten that up just a little bit, but that did cost them last night with all the giveaways. I mean, what leads to rush chances? Giveaways or, block shots. And you can see there, Darnell Nurse with 4 giveaways, 1 inside his own zone. Draisaitl with 3, Bouchard with 3, McDavid and Kulak both with 2, and then, 1 each from Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins, Henrique, Arvidsson, Emerson, and Pod Colson. So the giveaways, just the death of the Oilers last night. And even, Kris Knoblauch said, we got a couple days for practice and lots of time for some video. I don't think any of the video is going to matter. I think we've been talking about it a lot. It's just those guys executing and finding that it's an important part of the game, making a play or a nice pass. It is important. And Darnell Nurse also adding on to this, saying, I'd say watching the goals back, it is our ability to defend off the rush, especially when you have a lot of teams with a lot of skill. The opportunities that you give off the rush can be very dangerous. I think for us, we got to clean those up, and we probably got away from that for our last bit over the past few games, and he's been absolutely spot on with that, on par with what the Oiler fans have been seeing, just the rush chances, not just the past few games, but over the current year. It's just been something that's been killing the Edmonton Oilers. Sure, they're a top 3, top 5 team defensively, but it's just that one area that needs some fixing up, and it's not going to get any easier for them on this road trip, as they do take on the New Jersey Devils, a very, very fast team under the guideship of Sheldon Keefe. So it should be a very interesting one to see how they bounce back from that. Of course, Stuart Skinner in bounce back games usually has a pretty good record, so hopefully he can keep up with that stat line. But we have some prospect news. Yes, prospect news in the month of March, although for some it may not be good prospect news depending on how you look at it. Down in Bakersfield, Roby Järventie, who the Oilers acquired from the Ottawa Senators last July in exchange for Xavier Bourgault, will move to Tappara next season in the Finnish league. Of course, 22-year-old Roby Järventie is a contract player with the Edmonton Oilers and has played 2 AHL games this season. This report coming from Sasha Hatunen over in Finland there. Of course, Jorventi has been suffering from knee problems, but he's recovering to full playing condition despite having some setbacks with his knee over the past couple months there. Of course, the health problems. That's what we knew about Jorventi coming into his tenure as an Oilers slash Bakersfield Condor. I know when I reported on the trade, many Sens fans are saying, okay, he's good when he's healthy, but whenever that is, we don't know. And of course, we should have heeded their warnings, but only 2 games played for the Condors this year. Of course, the AHL site still hasn't updated his stat card there, and I don't think they really need to, as he won't be on this site as an active player in the AHL after this year. But 2 assists in those 2 games, I mean, that's something to write home about. But yes, as you can see, the most games he's played in a season is 70 with the Belleville Senators, but that was a little over 3 years ago. So injuries quickly catching up to Jorventi. Now you're asking, well, why is Jorventi going back home? Other than the sake of going back home, he's already got some family with the Tapara organization there. Emil is with the organization, and another younger brother of his, Max Jorventi, moved from another Finnish team. I'm not going to try to pronounce that, folks. I'm not going to do a disservice to the Finnish people, to Tapara a year ago. So unfortunate news for the Oilers prospect pool, which gets a little more shallower. Of course, they did lose Shane LaChance in that Trent Frederick trade to the New Jersey Devils. So this is sort of Stan Bowman's way of, trying to trading LaChance, just trying to get his own prospect pool into his own liking there. But again, it sucks about Jorventi. The upside was there when he was healthy, but again, it was just a matter of the setbacks really hurting his cause. But that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts about the Sabres game last night. I know many of you might have lots of thoughts. Many of you might say, oh, what thoughts are there? We saw what we saw. Just burn the game tape. But I'm very interested to hear. But that is it. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe here to the channel for any and all Oiler news. Folks, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we will see you later. Take care. I'm Matt.